Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Diane in Stitches. I'm Diane. This channel's all about my sewing adventures, what I've made, what I'm going to make, any patterns or fabrics purchased, and just all things sewing related. So I do hope you enjoy watching. So this week it's warm. I cannot just continue with what everyone else is talking about. It's warm. So in this room, I have to try and get things done in the morning because when the sun comes round in the afternoon, it's like an oven. So what have I been doing this week? I've been trying to get a shirt for my husband, Keith. And I've just been doing it in dribs and drabs really because, as I say, it's too hot in here, and we've had other things going on, including it is Wimbledon fortnight, so I do like watching a Wimbledon. So I need to get done. Well, the men's final is today, but it's not. Excuse me, it's not till later on this afternoon. They've started doing it at, this year, starting at 4 p.m. instead of 2 p.m. Because it's better for TV, apparently, around the world watching times. So we did watch the ladies' final yesterday. But I've just been trying to catch up all week because we've been here, there and everywhere, and yesterday I didn't feel too well. We'd gone out on Friday and we'd not taken any water with us, and we went to Meadowhall yet again, and then Rotherham. Then we decided to have some lunch where I did order some water and then we tried to top up when we got home, but Saturday morning I just woke up with a real muzzy head and feeling yuck. And I did do a little bit of sewing, and I started to think I'll do a video, but just no, wasn't happening. So I'll just start off with what I'm wearing, which is a Love Notions Rhapsody Blouse. Sleeveless version, just loose and breezy. I did make the bias binding out of the same fabric, which was a bit of a nightmare. It's not easy to make bias binding out of. So the Rhapsody blouse is just this. It's got lots of views, lots of options, sleeve lengths, and can be made also into a dress. Now I've got my little tattoo showing. The other day I watched a video of Zelda, whose channel is Zelda Sews, and she'd made a sleeveless top and she was showing off her tattoos. And I said, oh, I'll have to show you mine one day. She said, yes, I want to see your tattoo. So Zelda, that's mine. That's the only one I've got, so not quite as extensive as yours. But this is actually the second iteration of this tattoo. I had the original one done a long time ago. We lived in Norfolk and I went to a little tattoo parlour in Great Yarmouth and I just wanted a butterfly. I'll show you the original one. And a few years, about 5 or 6 years after I'd had it done, I thought, what have I done? I'll have this removed. And I spent ages researching it and never got around to it. And it was only a little while ago I thought, I'm just not very happy with this at all after like 30 years later. And I thought, well, the technology might have changed now for the removal. And then last year on our local Facebook page for our town, someone was asking for recommendations for a tattooist, and mentioned was this place in town, and someone in the comments said, yes, he's excellent. And he did my redo very well. And I thought, well, redo, I'd not really thought about having another one on top of what you've already got. So I looked into it and I went into the shop and asked about it. And he said, yeah, that's no problem. I took a book, we've got butterfly books, took a book in. And he said, yeah, that's no problem. So he sat there with the book open and redid it. I'll put a picture of my original one on. I took one just before I'd had it done. So I was, after having thought about having it removed, I've then gone and had a bigger one put in its place. But anyway, so that's where we are today on that one. I'm quite pleased with it now, but I very rarely wear sleeveless things. I haven't got that many sleeves. I've got a few vests and they're tucked in a drawer and they rarely come out actually. So since we've been back in the UK anyway, I wore them quite a bit in Cyprus, but anyway. So this week, what has been happening apart from wilting in the heat and watching Wimbledon, trying to keep the heat out of the house because I opened this window in the morning because this is shady, but then we have to shut the curtains. Downstairs is the it's the dining area, and then the living area is in the front of the house. So by about lunchtime, we're shutting the curtains at the back here, just to try and stem the heat coming into the house, because they're quite big windows as well. But I've been trying to get Keith's shirt done, which has taken me all week so far, as I say, in dribs and drabs. So I've got the pocket on. I'm trying to pattern match. So the pocket's on, and then the collar, I've done a different technique that I'd read about. Instead of attaching the collar and stand first and then attaching it to the body, you just attach the stand to the body, one side, both. You sew them both on at the same time, and then flip them out. You sew this seam and then the curve, and then flip them up, and then the collar itself gets sewn onto the outer stand. And then that just, once you've flipped that up, you then turn this seam allowance in and then just top stitch around the band. I've just sort of pinned it at that side, which is sort of looks a bit neater. So I just carry on along here, turning that seam allowance down, and then I'll just top stitch all the way around the stand. And I think that's an easier. I thought I had done that on a different pattern, but I looked at the pattern I thought it was, and that was telling you the other version of joining them together first. So we'll see. I think I haven't got used to the technique. That might be what I'll use, because it was a bit easier than trying to then manoeuvre that bottom edge of the band in, tucking the front corners of the thing. It just seems a bit easier than the old version. So that's one thing, and then the next thing is sort of an addition of something that I'd thought about only in the last couple of days. Many years ago, I think I was going through the menopause badly at the time, the hot flushes and everything at the time, and I'd got this thing that you lay on. It's called a Chillow, and you fill that with water and take the air out, and it just cools. It's like a cooling foam inside. It was very, very good, really nice to sleep on, or just to put behind your back and lean against it. It just cooled you down. And then we also had these neck wraps. They're an Australian brand, Cobber they're called. And I had a look to see if I could find them. And a lot of the places, well, the UK, it's an Australian. Did I say it's an Australian company? And a lot of the UK stockists, and I'm sure we got it from a UK stockist, it's all said out of stock. I don't order a lot. I refuse where possible to order from Amazon. So I have seen them on Amazon. Whether they're any just knockoffs, I don't know. But I did remember seeing a video on how to make them yourself. It's just a strip of fabric, and then you just have to put these expanding granules inside. And I actually bought quite some time ago. I thought it was when we moved back from Cyprus. You can get them at a garden centre. I think I got a box full of these water retaining gel sachet. Well, it was a box. I've got about a dozen in a bag, and they're just like it looks a bit like granulated sugar. Just little gel beads. And I had an experiment yesterday, because I've looked at some new videos, and there's some other different type. They come out like little garden peas, and this lady was putting it in. She'd expanded them and then put them in, because it's difficult to tell how much you're going to need. You can overdo it, and then they'll fluff up like mad, and you'll have too many. So, but this other video I found, she divided it up into the channel where you put the beads. She divided it into 4 sections, and she put 1/4 teaspoon in each section, and then there was stitching to sort of divide. So I thought that's what I might do, and I thought I'll just open the sachet and see how much it expands by. So got a jar, and I'd filled it probably about 1 inch deep of water, and I think it must have been, I didn't measure it actually, I just tipped it out, and I sort of guesstimate possibly a teaspoon, and then I left it, and it just makes like this gloopy a gloopy mess. It looks really weird. I can't know if you can see, just like I mean, this is probably drying out now. This has been overnight, because after a while, once all the moisture's evaporated, it goes back to granules again, and then you just have to keep rehydrating it. But it's lovely and cool around your neck. So I've got some quilting cotton. I'm going to probably see if I can get a couple of those done once I've finished the shirt, and see if I can get those done. So I'll have a bit more time now, because Wimbledon's over after the men's final tonight. So yeah, just get that done. That'll be different, and then I might tackle this flounce on the Stylark Miley top. So yeah, so that's all I've been doing really. Is just trying to avoid the heat and get this shirt finished if I can. But yeah, so last night was a bit of a hilarious. We watched the Live Aid 40-year anniversary since the Live Aid concert. Honestly, what a throwback that was. It was just hilarious. All the musicians, all the acts had microphones that were all wired. There was they have these things now, don't they, with earpiece, and then just a little microphone here, and everything was wired in to the amplifiers and guitars and everything, all wired in. There were wires everywhere. So somebody's going to have an accident here in a minute. And the one that would like jumping, some of the artists were like jumping down onto the ledge below, and these guys were running after them, pulling the wires over boxes and trying to not let them get all tangled up. And then there was a cameraman with another man behind him holding his wire. Oh, it was just mad. And the hairs and the shoulder pads, mullets, and the fashion. Oh, it's just. And then the funniest thing was the donation prompts, and I can't remember who it was now that did it. Some not old, but past Radio 1 or 2, Radio 1 DJ, and it says there's several ways you can donate. Number 1 is by post, and they give this address to write. And he says, and your paper might have a coupon where you can stick with the address that you can stick on your envelope. And the second way was by phone with your credit card, and there was about 12 phone numbers depending on where you lived in the UK. And then the third way was at your bank, going to your bank or a post office. And I thought, wow, no, text this number or scan this QR code. It was just, and I thought it was just a real throwback in time. 40 years ago. We'd been married 3 years by that 1985. Anyway, hey ho. Back in the day. So let me just. I have got a. Yeah, but so I enjoyed watching that. The second part was after it started about 9:30, and I thought, and that was until 1 a.m. and I thought, I'm not doing 1 a.m. No, so I recorded it. But we're quite I mean, the tennis has been lovely, and this wasn't as good because the TV, we bought a new TV the last week, and it's a 40-inch. We had a 32-inch before, so it's not that much. We didn't need a real big one. We only went into Curry's to look. Keith wanted to look at a new laptop, and I looked down the corridor and saw this huge TV. Must have been about 60 inches or more. And I thought, and the picture was absolutely fabulous. So I just wandered down. Keith came, and we'd been meaning to buy a new TV for some time. The one we had, which we tried to work out how long we've had it. It must be at least 20 to 25 years ago. We've had it a long time. Now, a few years ago, it started going a bit funny, and we started looking at TVs. The picture would go all weird and frosty, like snowy, but like purple and pink colour. It was weird. And you used to have to turn it off and on again. And then it went right, and it was okay. So I thought, oh, we're okay. And then a few months later, the same thing had happened. So this kept going on and on and on. And then it hasn't done it for a while. So we thought, oh, well, we're okay. We'll not bother them. So we put it off, but then we saw this good deal on this 40-inch TV. So we just bought it. So Keith forgot about his laptop, and we just bought this TV. So Wimbledon looks absolutely fantastic on this. Well, everything looks fantastic because it's bigger, and it doesn't have, the old one had a really thick black board. It was a flat screen, but it had this really thick black board around the screen. So we've been having a good views of it's been, and the colours are fabulous. So yeah, we treated ourselves to a new TV. Anyway, so I think that's all my news for the week. So I hope you've enjoyed listening. I better go because I can see the battery on my little gimbal thing is gone a funny colour. That means it needs charging. So I better stop now. So as I say, I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for coming and thanks for watching. I hope you liked it. If you do like what I've been talking about, give me a thumbs up and comment on anything you like to comment on. Let me know. I do want, if you've noticed some flashing, someone mentioned last week a flickering. It's more like I can see the colours sort of dimming and brightening as I move. I don't know whether that's flickering. And I've tried to look into what might be causing. If you can see any flickering, let me know. I'll try to investigate what it might be, but I've changed the resolution I'm recording at and tried different things, and I just don't know why it's happening. But anyway, thank you again. Anyway, I'll let you get off. Thank you if you've subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, it would be nice if you could. It does help the channel to reach other people looking for sewing content, and you'll hit the notification bell, and it'll come up that when I've released a new video, it'll tell you then. So with that, I'll just say bye for this week, and happy sewing to everybody. Hope you get lots of sewing done and stay cool, stay hydrated, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye for now.